Hi, morning everyone. Angus Campbell here. Saturday the 18th of May 2019. I'm following the video that I made last night of the rear wheel fitment, which you'll see shortly. That's now being uploaded, and it's going to take half an hour or so because it's a bit of a long one. So what do you do in the meantime? You get on with it. So on to the next job, and that is the rear lights, number plate and brackets, etc. We'll get set up here and we'll crack on. So as per the end of the last video, we've got a rear light here from B25SS with the wrong indicators in it, but as you can see we need to strip that. It's got to be painted. It's got a rear light in it, the unit, etc., but it's not very clever. The wires have been messed around with, but other than that, the light unit itself is in good condition with all the right brackets, etc., on it. So we'll get that stripped down and painted up, and we'll put it onto. We'll be installing it on the bike there, which is how it looks after the end of the video last night. So we'll begin to alter the shape of the rear end a bit. So anyway, first job will be to strip this down, so I won't bore you with this, and I'll bring you back once that's done. Okay, only a couple of minutes to take the indicators off and the inner bracket to which the indicators screw into, and that bracket mounts up onto the top of the mudguard, and you can see that there's a strengthening plate on there as well, and I'm pretty sure that goes underneath the mudguard, but I'll just need to check on that actually. The reason why is because this light unit is all original. I got this off eBay. That's definitely its original paint. As you can see, the wiring has been messed about with, but the unit is original. And the reason I can tell that is because, as we've stated before with indicators, these indicators have the lock nut for the indicator body on the outside, which the later ones don't, i.e. like so. Also, I don't think these indicators have ever been off, because they've got a washer, and you can see there a serrated washer. And if you look at rebuilds these days, you never see those serrated washers, and the reason they're there is because sometimes these indicators have a notorious reputation of drooping down, sadly, as the bike's in use. And if we go over to the Rocket 3 here, which was restored before I bought it, there's no serrated washers on that, and I've had problems with these. Once I get home from a ride, this one's quite often is hanging down. And also, similarly, let's have a quick look over here. Now then, there you go. Is that on there? Actually, on the Fury. So this is all original, never been apart. Now this is pre-production. So it's got the early indicators. That's correct. There is quite a big, thick, just plain washer. There's no serrated washer on that one. The Bandit obviously has been built up. That's got later indicators. Short ones are correct, but no, not on the outside. And on the Fury SS, what I've done there is replicate what's on the Show Fury. So I've just put a thick washer there. Now obviously if you tighten these up properly, really you shouldn't have a problem with them drooping, if you like, but certainly it's happened to me on the Bandit. Obviously that's only done 30 miles, I think. But it's interesting because I'd never realised that serrated washer was original. So fascinating. Right, so live and learn. Next thing then is to take the bulb holder and the light itself out, and to do that you just undo these two small bolts on the back here, and that will allow you to remove it. Um, the light unit itself, I don't think we'll reuse. Well, we could. The wires are in a bit of a mess at the back here. I'll see what I've got in stock. I've obviously got bullets, etc. to solder on and sort that out if we need to. Good news is these bolts, which are quite an unusual size, they're in good condition actually, and the plating's good on the head, so they'll polish up okay. So we'll get that done. Okay, that's the light itself off the light unit. This is it's in good condition from the point of view of the metal, and actually if it wasn't for these worn rusted areas, which are a little bit odd, you could almost recover a lot of that paint, but it's definitely original paint. You'll notice how it's a type of satin finish, and that's correct. And the way that I reproduce that is a light coat of a silver, and the one I've been using recently is Daewoo stone silver. I haven't got much left in there, but we'll give it a good primer base. Obviously rub it down, primer base, and a different silver base, and then we'll finish it off with stone silver, and that should be fine. But yeah, in good condition, no dents. Got the original clip-on. It's not a nut. I can't remember exactly what they call it now, but effectively it's a push-on retainer for a bolt mounting at that end, a push-on thread. It's a clip, I suppose. A clip allows you to screw a bolt in from the underside of the mudguard, and you think, well, that's not very strong, but actually the major mounting point for this is via the indicators onto this heavy duty bracket which goes onto the mudguard. So that's a major mounting point for it. The other one's just to secure it down flush onto the mudguard. Right, so we'll get painting this up, and I'll bring you back once that's cleaned up and done, so we can start to prepare other components like the rear number plate brackets and the number plate itself. I think I've got those in stock, but also I'll need to dig out another light unit, see if I've got one of those, and if not, we'll begin repairing that one, which is not a big problem. Okay, so there we are. Spent a couple of hours this afternoon cleaning up the rear light unit and rubbing it down, painting up with a couple of coats of undercoat, and then 2 or 3 coats of silver. And it actually turned out it was Ford Silver Fox Metallic that I normally use for these, and I had some of that left, and it's come out a pretty good match. I did find another light unit that I've got, which is quite a bit cleaner, but the paint's still not that good on it. It's not bad for new old stock type paint, and it is yellowed a bit, but I think it's a pretty good match, and it's consistent with the colour of the rear light units on the other bikes in the collection, so that's good. So what I'm going to do now is start putting that back together. The first thing though is the light unit itself, and well, I was going to show you the terrible wiring on the back, because underneath insulation tape wires were just twisted together, and in fact just picking that up, one has fallen off without any teasing whatsoever, so that was never going to work properly. So what we'll have to do first is clean these connections up and get some bullets on them, so we'll get the soldering iron out and I'll bring you back. Right, so I've got the soldering set up on a small little rubber jawed vise, and that's warming up at the moment. Got the solder, just take the temperature of that, it's just about up to temperature. At the moment we've got brass bullets. which is what I prefer. I never crimp. I hate crimp joints, I just don't trust them at all. I always solder and use bullets or spades soldered as per the factory. So a couple of bullets there, a couple of single connectors. We've got two wires here to the light. One is the original brown and green, which is for the rear parking light, and the other one's just brown, and that's for the stop light. There is a separate earth wire that will come from the main wiring harness towards the back light, and it actually is like a loop on the end of it that earths the whole of the light unit inside on the mounting bracket. Just while the soldering iron's warming up, let's just grab the wiring harness. I've got a feeling actually that we need a separate extension on the main wiring harness. Let me just identify. Sorry, I'm a bit out of shot at the moment because I don't want this wiring harness anywhere near that soldering iron. That's the battery. Oh, that's coils, etc., etc. Yeah, we need an extension. Right, I found it. So the rear end of the wiring harness has got 5 wires, which is correct. So you've got brown and green for the rear light, you've got brown for the stop light, you've got an earth which earths the whole housing, and then you've got right and left indicator. So that's correct. But I think I'm going to need to make up an extension, because I don't think that's going to go all the way to reach all the way to the back light. But that's no problem. That's no problem. Anyway, let's get on with this job first. So what I'm going to do is just make sure the bare-ended wires are relatively clean and tidy, which they are, and of sufficient length. They're okay. And then I'm just going to offer them up to the soldering iron and tin them first. So actually melt solder onto them as they're hot with the soldering iron. And the flux, this is flux solder, will enable the solder to tin the wires if they're clean. And these are reasonably clean, so they're tinned. I'm just going to trim them a little. And the bullets will go over these. Now initially they won't go over, because we then have to heat these and push them over the wires when the solder is molten. And then once the wire sticks through the top of the bullet, we put a blob of solder on the top. There she goes. Right. So while the bullet is hot, we're just pressing that wire further in. And I can now see that wire in the top of the bullet. So what we're going to do now is again push it against the soldering iron so it's hot. And we drop some solder down the centre of it. Bit of tidying up. And that's one done. I'll let that one cool off. While we're doing the other one. Might just dress that actually, it's a bit kinked. Just to tin it a little bit more. Better. Careful, that might be a bit hot. It is a little hot. Patience is a virtue. This isn't a still, I am in real time. Taking its while to heat this one. Didn't want to go. I think what we might have to do is take that soldering iron out of the vise. Give it a good old press with a flat end. See if we can get a bit more heat into it. There she goes. Whoops. Must not pick that up with your fingers, because that'll be damn hot. Right. Let's try again. I don't want to hold the bullet with the pliers, because it'll act as a heat sink. There we go. Damn it. Stop doing that. and solder in there. There we are. Push on a couple of connectors. One. Two. And there you have it. All ready to go. Well insulated with some proper connectors on it. So we can now move that soldering iron out of the way and turn that off. And we can begin to reassemble the light. So the light unit fits into, or should I say the bulb and bulb socket fit into the rear light unit, and are fixed by just two small, probably 1/8 UNF bolts with shake-proof washers. I notice there's only one shake-proof. So we'll put a little tiny spring on the other one. I don't have shake proofs. Push the bolts through from the back. Through the rubber insulator and screw into the bulb holder, and there she goes. That's one. Same on the other side. Two. And try and find the right spanner. Must be the one. No, it's not. Had it earlier. Where's it gone? That's not it. That's too big. On the worktop. Must be hiding somewhere. Got a spanner anyway. And what is this spanner? 5/16. snip it up. Now just had a thought actually, so I've got a new lens, but I haven't got any screws. So it's going to fit, that's fine. I don't think I've got any of the special screws. So I think we'll probably have to leave it there for now. I'll try and find a couple of screws for this. They're basically semi-round flatheads, slotted, and we'll get that fitted on. But then we'll transfer our attention to preparing the rear mudguard. So we'll be mounting up the main bracket on that mudguard first, and then we need to put some rubber edging on these two edges here, and then we can mount up this unit on the bracket and screw in the two indicators from each side, and I'll bring you back when we do that. So see you shortly. Okay, morning all. It's the next morning. Left the rear light overnight to dry with the new paint, and then this morning managed to dig out firstly some rubber trim. It's a little short. I didn't quite have enough for both sides. I had to split what I had, but that'll be okay because this end is almost under the seat, I believe, anyway. But we'll see when it's on it, and it won't be much of a problem to take it off in the future when I've got some more edging. But also managed to find a couple of screws as well, and to mount the lens up, and that's all nice and centered after a bit of adjustment. So that's all good, ready to go and ready for fitting. Just got to do a bit of tidying up. I've been doing some other stuff this morning regarding parts. I've been getting the odd electrical part together, front and left handlebar switches, other paraphernalia, and doing a bit of tidying up. So it looks like a bomb's dropped in here. So we'll tidy that up first, and then we'll set you up, and we'll mount up this rear light.